Good morning. I'm at the Pine Bend Brook trailhead on the Kankagamus Highway in the White Mountains of New Hampshire. It's the week before Memorial Day, my third hiking day. A lot cooler today. A cold front came through yesterday, and so I'm starting out at about 50 degrees this morning. So I'm heading to North and Middle Tripyramid. The highway here has been a little bit busy, so let's get on the trail before another loud car comes by. Easy peasy stream crossing. So the stream I've been walking along is not Pine Bend Brook. I looked at the map, and Pine Bend Brook's a little bit to the west of here. So the stream crossings I've done so far are just little ones on the side stream. I'm curious to see how the crossings are going to be on Pine Bend Brook. So far I'm about a little over a mile in. I've done about 300, 400 feet of ascent. It's been nice and gentle. A little bit of roots on the trail. Definitely have to keep my eyes on the trail to make sure I'm not tripping. But so far, a really nice first mile of this morning's hike. Last I had one more crossing of that smaller stream, and I think I've reached the first crossing of Pine Bend Brook. The map shows that at this point Pine Bend Brook has forked into two pieces, and it looks like I have two crossings of it. Right now the water is nice and low. This should be no problem to cross, but I can definitely see from the rocks and the trees where this can definitely be, if you look down there, you can definitely see where this would be higher water at some point. And another little crossing on Pine Bend Brook. There's been a couple of muddy spots here in between these little branches of the brook, but there's always been plenty of rocks and roots and sticks to step on. So far my feet are pretty clean and dry, so we'll see how long they stay this way. That one's a purple trillium, and those are painted trillium. So I'll see if there's any more stream crossings up here. All the stream crossings were totally fine. Easy to find rocks to hop across. My feet are still dry. There's been some muddy sections, but I've been able to find, rocks and roots to hop across those muddy sections. Probably about 1.5 miles to 1.75 miles in on the trail at this point. Climbed a few hundred feet gradually, which has been nice. And I know the steep parts are coming on this trail, so I'm getting ready for that, but I've enjoyed this first hike in, first part of the hike in, with mild elevation gain, a nice easy trail through some beautiful woods. It looks like I do have another stream crossing to do. Again, this one looks very rock hoppable. Have to think a little bit on this one, but there's plenty of rocks there above the water. We've got some stairs built into the bank on the other side, and that'll take me up into the woods some more. I've reached the boundary of the Sandwich Range Wilderness. I've been steadily climbing since the last stream crossing. There were a couple more little stream crossings along the way. Maybe in higher water, those would be more challenging. There were also a couple of wetter areas on the trail, but nothing those were all easy. Definitely had the bigger stream crossing with the last one that I showed you. So hiking right along this rocky stream. Been a couple of rocky sections to hike on. I wasn't quite sure where the trail was going, but then I looked up. I saw this nice yellow marker on the tree. I'll keep going up the trail along this brook. And then I've got another little stream crossing, which again, the water's low right now. So stream crossing's an easy rock hop today. That looks like the trail heading up there. Found some purple trillium. These ones always seem to be drooping down. They're harder to get a picture of than the painted trillium. And then just slightly up the trail from the purple trillium, I see some trout lilies just starting to open up. Just come up the rock slide along this brook. Ascended a few hundred feet pretty quickly. Some places needed to use my hands just to help me up a little bit or to stabilize me. And I just looked at the topo map and looks like I'm at a bend in the trail. I can see that I'm going to cross this little brook and then go up there. There's a trail marker on the tree. And so I'm going to go over there, and on the topo map, I'm at the part where it turns to the left and has a little bit gentler elevation gain for a little bit before it's going to turn to the right again and do another steep 500-foot climb. All right, off I hike. Stop for a quick snack break. Gotta have my Power Puffs to keep me going up the hill. So now it's time to keep going up there. About 500 more feet of the steep climb, and then it looks like it levels out for a little bit before I have the last 500 or so feet up to the peak of North Tripyramid. Time to keep hiking. Here's some nicer looking trout lilies than the one we saw lower down. These still are looking like they're just starting to open up. I'm at about 3,300 feet right now. I think I have about 100 more feet to go on the steep climb according to the topo map. This part of the steep climb's been much nicer than the first part. The first part was really like jumbled rocks, pretty much just a rock slide that I was going up. And this one is still very steep, but has soil and roots, so just easier footing for the second part of the steep climb up to the ridge. Reached the junction with the Scour Ridge Trail. And I'm continuing on the Mount Tripyramid Trail over to North Tripyramid. So it's been a nice couple minutes of hiking already so far up on this ridge. I'm over 3,400 feet. And the trail's largely leveled out. I got a little rise here after this level section that stays around 3,400 feet. I will have about another 500 more feet to climb up to North Tripyramid. Looks like it's going to get a little bit steep again towards the summit, which I would expect for climbing to the top of a pyramid. For now, I will enjoy this little level section. Kind of peek through the trees there. North Tripyramid, that's where I'm heading right now. I think I have about 300 or so more feet to ascend into this nice rocky section. Couple of really small little scrambles to do. Nothing that's at all scary. Just nice, pretty forest. It's getting mossy. Lots of evergreen trees. So just looking at the trail here at 3,700 feet elevation, heading up to North Tripyramid. got a little bit more scrambling to do. That'll help me gain a good bit of elevation and get closer to the summit. Made it to the treed-in summit of North Tripyramid. I've got a little bit of peeks through the trees out to the surrounding mountains. I'm going to take a break here, have a nice snack, and then I will head down that way over towards Middle Tripyramid. I'm at the junction with the Sabaday Brook Trail, and I'm going to continue on the Mount Tripyramid Trail over to Middle Tripyramid. And it looks like I am just about done with the descent off of North Tripyramid. The south side of North Tripyramid is definitely the gentler side. There were a couple of rocky sections where I turn around backwards and lower myself, gently down, finding my footholds on the way down. Those were small, and in between those was sections of trail that was more like this, more of the nice, faster, gradual descent trail. On the topo map, it looks like this trail stays above 3,800 feet. So that's about 300 feet of descent from North Tripyramid down into this col, and then about another 300 feet of ascent up to Middle Tripyramid. I'm doing an out and back hike today, so after I hit Middle Tripyramid, I'm going to turn around and head back this way. So I'm into the ascent up Middle Tripyramid, getting close to 4,000 feet elevation, and I'm definitely into the steeper part of the climb. So far on the steeper part, the trail's been like this, with small rocks to step up, definitely climbing, and I've got probably about 100 to 150 more feet to ascend to get to the top of Middle Tripyramid. Made it to the top of Middle Tripyramid. So these peaks for me are 34 and 35 of my New Hampshire 48 4,000 footers. I'm also working on the Northeast 111, which is actually 115 mountains. And this was 95 and 96 out of 115 for the Northeast 111. So I only have 19 more to go for the Northeast 111, which is really exciting. Through the trees you can see the Waterville Valley ski area, and then the peak beyond the ski area is Mount Tecumseh. That might be the shortest of the 4,000 footers in New Hampshire. And so we've got a view over that way, which I think is to the west. And we've got trees to the south. And then the view that was behind me before in the video of Mount Passaconaway over to the east. And my view to the north is also just trees. From here I'm going to turn around and head back to over North Tripyramid and back down the Pine Bend Brook Trail. I'm just going back the way I came today and looking forward to an enjoyable hike back. Almost back to the summit of North Tripyramid, and just wanted to give you a picture of what the terrain's like on the south side of North Tripyramid. There's this section, and there was one more section a little bit lower down that are a little bit of rock scramble, but they're not too bad. A lot of the trail coming back up North Tripyramid from the south is a lot like this. It's pretty quick and easy, which I've been enjoying. I'm gonna go hit this rock scramble, get back over North Tripyramid, and then head back down towards my car. This was the hardest section of the hike the whole way, I think. It's maybe 100 or 200 feet of this rock slide where you just have to step from one rock to another. Thankfully they're secure, So I had good footing coming down. So right now I'm at about 2,650 feet of elevation, and I noted on my way up that when I was at 2,400 feet, that's where the climbing really started. There's the sign for the Sandwich Range Wilderness. So exiting the wilderness area, heading towards the stream crossings. Still have about, I think it's around 2 miles left to the car, maybe even 2.5 miles. But it's a nice walk in the woods and gradual descent the whole way. I think I still have somewhere like 600 to 800 feet to descend. But I didn't feel it much coming in. So I'm looking forward to wrapping up my hike of North Tripyramid and Middle Tripyramid with a really nice walk in the woods out to the car. It's a beautiful day. The temperature in the towns today was supposed to be around 60. So it was definitely cooler up in the mountains, cooler up where I am now. I'm wearing my long sleeve shirt. Wore my sweatshirt here and there on the hike, my fleece sweatshirt, but most of the hike I've been wearing my long sleeve shirt, and the past couple of days I've been close to 90 down in the towns, so it's nice that the cold front's gone through and we have much better hiking weather. Alright, so I'm gonna head off and cross these streams and get back to the car.